Welcome to the Binge List, fellow TV and film fanatics. I'm Greg, and I make recommendations for TV shows and movies that you can access from the comfort of your own home. And let's talk about Netflix's exciting lineup for November of 2024. And this month starts with a solid lineup of outstanding classics that turn into a handful of new releases later in the month, including comedies, actions, psychological thrillers, historical dramas, and even a docuseries that I'm pretty pumped to check out myself. So, as always, stop mindlessly scrolling, stop wasting your time, and let's jump in and check out the list.
Keep it fast and you stay close to me.
My first pick of the titles coming on the first is the Matthew McConaughey-led film Free State of Jones. This is a historical drama film that tells the true story of Newton Knight, a soldier who led a rebellion against the Confederacy during the American Civil War, trying to create this free state in Mississippi. And I love movies based on true events. It always seems to raise the stakes a little bit, and obviously they dramatize it for Hollywood, but it's a super compelling topic here. It sheds light on a lesser known chapter of the American Civil War. And having Matthew McConaughey leading is certainly a huge draw for this one. He does deliver a powerful and nuanced performance as Newton Knight. And this is actually this somewhat regular guy, which I feel is rare to find in a true story type mold, but he goes out and just does the right thing just because it's the right thing, which is cool to see. The only knock on this film for me is that it is a longer movie that has what feels like some unnecessary or drawn out scenes that make it just long to be long, and that does cause some up and down pacing at times. But overall, Free State of Jones is well worth a watch. It offers a unique story surrounding the American Civil War that looks very authentic and has some quality performances.
I swear to God, I could see myself ending up with this girl.
Did you say what I think you just said?
Next up, we move from something serious to something a bit more humorous with Just Go With It. And this is a rom-com starring Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler as a couple who pretend to be engaged in order to cover up this lie. But as their ruse deepens, they find themselves in a series of hilarious and just chaotic situations. And I know some people don't love rom-coms because they are typically predictable, but I personally enjoy the comedic and the sappy journey that you get to go on, and this one has a fun cast with a whole lot of chemistry. Aniston and Sandler are great together as seasoned comedic actors, but I really actually enjoy the child actors in this one. Bailey Madison and Griffin Gluck, I felt like they brought a ton of the humor to it and also the charm to the film. So this is a lighthearted and comedic film produced by Happy Madison. It's directed by Dennis Dugan, who has directed several other Adam Sandler comedies. So if you enjoy that type of humor, this is a fun and enjoyable option, perfect for a lighthearted watch.
The last Super Bowl was played right here.
Please don't tell me it was a classic.
Classic game. 80,000 people on their feet. Seconds left on the clock. So Hubie throws a Hail Mary.
My third pick is the 2013 sci-fi film Oblivion, starring Tom Cruise. And this is set in this dystopian future and follows Jack Harper, who is a drone repairman stationed on this desolated Earth. As he begins to question his own existence and the nature of his mission, he uncovers a dangerous conspiracy that threatens the future of humanity. And first, this film looks amazing. It has some really incredible visuals throughout with breathtaking landscapes and this destroyed surface world. And on top of that, you get the effects that create the futuristic technology in the movie that brings to life the dystopian world, and it really feels like you could actually step into it. And this one has an outstanding cast. Like I mentioned, you get Cruise, who's leading the way, delivering a strong performance as the stoic and determined Jack. But also supporting him, you have Morgan Freeman, Olga Kurylenko, Melissa Leo, and Andrea Riseborough, who all do a great job in their roles. So if you do like sci-fi, Oblivion is a visually stunning option that's action-packed. It's an exploration of humanity's future. Definitely worth checking out.
They forgot my birthday. Classic. This is the single worst day of my entire life.
My next pick is definitely the oldest title on this list, but this is one of those iconic 80s films, so I did want to include it here. And this is 16 Candles, starring Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall. The story itself follows Samantha, who is a teenage girl who ends up being overlooked on her 16th birthday, but that's honestly not the half of it. She embarks on a series of hilarious and embarrassing adventures. And if you grew up watching films in the 80s or you watched Ready Player One, you already know this, but this was directed by John Hughes, who is a master of 80s teen comedies. So obviously the film will bring out a ton of nostalgia for the time period with iconic soundtracks, relatable characters, and the hyperbolized teenage experiences the characters go through. And like many of Hughes' films, it balances humor with a strong emotional core, exploring themes of friendship, love, and a good coming of age story. So this is a beloved 80s film that is not without its flaws, but continues to entertain audiences 40 years later. Definitely worth checking out.
Saturday was actually a crazy night for me. Seth's parents were throwing this party, like a get-together, cocktail casual.
Wow.
And then we went to a nightclub.
You got in.
We got right in.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
You would have loved it.
So let's move on from the 80s to one from my youth in Superbad, starring Michael Cera and Jonah Hill. In this film, these two play two high school seniors, Evan and Seth, as they navigate the challenges of high school, friendship, and the first experiences they have with alcohol and sex. This film is hilarious in my opinion. I could watch it over and over again and laugh at the witty banter and the ridiculous situations that they experience. And there are honestly so many jokes crammed into this that you can find something new to laugh at almost every single time. And yet it does focus in on the raunchy and more vulgar types of comedy, but it always feels relatable as most of it is based on awkward teen experiences. And Michael Cera and Jonah Hill are comedy gold in this. A lot of duos on this list have good chemistry, but you would think that these two have been working together for years. Just a legendary dynamic between the two. And it's only pushed even further, with Christopher Mintz-Plasse as McLovin in this film. So Superbad, it's a classic. It may not be for everybody, but if you enjoy that style of humor, quotable lines, and memorable characters, you can't really go wrong with this film.
This is what I do. I'm an undercover narcotics agent. I sit with murderers and made men, and I lie. I lie my ass off.
The last three that are hitting on the first are on the more serious side. The first being The Infiltrator, which is a 2016 crime drama film based on the story of Robert Mazur, an undercover US Customs agent who infiltrated the Colombian drug cartel. This film stars Bryan Cranston, who in this one finds himself on the other side of a drug cartel, and he delivers a solid performance, transforming himself into this person with a solid supporting cast helping as well. You've got John Leguizamo, Diane Kruger, and Benjamin Bratt in this one. And the story itself is crazy. Knowing it's based on true events makes it extremely suspenseful as you see the infiltration operation come together and the lengths that they have to go to get this done. So if you're looking for a solid true crime drama in November, this is a good place to start.
You are a worthless, friendless piece of shit whose mommy left daddy, and who is now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a 9-year-old girl. Start practicing harder, Demon.
The next title is the Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons led Whiplash. It follows Andrew, an aspiring jazz drummer, and then Terrence Fletcher, his demanding and abusive instructor. And this film explores an intense and often toxic relationship between student and their teacher in this world as Andrew pushes himself to the brink to achieve perfection. And much like Cranston in The Infiltrator, both Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons deliver these powerful and ridiculously intense performances in the film. And in a totally different way, these two have on-screen chemistry that rivals Hill and Cera in Superbad that I talked about earlier, just perfectly complementing each other. The film has a super intense atmosphere too from the very first scene, keeping you fully engaged. And that only escalates as Teller's character becomes overly obsessed with the pursuit of excellence, even seeing the psychological toll that it takes on him. Also, I wanted to mention this because I thought it was super interesting, but J.K. Simmons actually slaps Miles Teller for real in one scene that makes the cut of this movie, which shows the level that these actors went to for this film. Absolutely a great watch.
And I have done one thing right with my life.
The last title that we're getting on the first is the film The Whale from 2022, starring Brendan Fraser as Charlie, who is this reclusive English teacher struggling with severe obesity and is now trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter. If you grew up watching Brendan Fraser in films like The Mummy, Journey to the Center of the Earth, or even Bedazzled like I did, you will almost not recognize him in this. Obviously, his appearance changes drastically for this role, and I'm barely talking about that though. It is his performance. He plays such a complex character in this film that shows a whole different side to his acting. The performance is deeply emotional, it's vulnerable, it's honestly a sight to behold coming from the roles that he is more known for. And it is not just me thinking this is a widely praised thought with many critics calling it his career best, which actually turned into an Oscar for Best Actor. And his performance is on the back of a great story that explores grief and self-acceptance while also delivering messages of empathy and forgiveness. And I enjoy all the movies that I recommended here on the first, but this is probably one that I would consider a must watch, especially if you enjoy powerful performances and thought-provoking storytelling.
I'm giving you a challenge. Find something that excites you.
It's a good challenge. I accept. Investigative assistant.
Another option on our list today is the to be determined option coming this month, and this is A Man on the Inside. This is a Netflix original comedy series inspired by this documentary called The Mole Agent, and it stars Ted Danson as an elderly man who goes undercover in this retirement home to investigate allegations of elderly abuse. I have been keeping my eyes open for information on this one, but it's been tough to find much, as not even the trailer has been released yet. But this is co-written by Michael Schur, so with his track record of creating acclaimed comedies like Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and The Good Place, there are certainly some high expectations for this new show. So if you like shows with that silly style of humor and hilarious performances, Man on the Inside looks like a fun option whenever it hits Netflix in November.
A potential Christmas love story.
Hate when y'all do that.
So for the first brand new title I'm bringing up comes on the 6th with the Netflix original holiday film Meet Me Next Christmas. And I said this before, I enjoy rom-coms, but if it does not interest you, I'm letting you know now so you can skip to the next chapter. But this stars Christina Milian as Layla, who is a hopeless romantic who races through New York City to secure tickets to a sold-out Pentatonix concert, hoping to reconnect with a man that she met the previous year. Of course, this is going to be predictable, it's going to have cheesy moments and ridiculous coincidences, but looks to be a movie that you're going to be able to sit back and enjoy the journey, and it blends the holidays with a strong cast and a beautiful New York setting. Should be a fun addition to your holiday lineup. So if rom-coms aren't your thing, then we do get another Netflix original on the 6th, and we get Pedro Paramo. This is an adaptation of a classic novel of the same name set in this small Mexican town haunted by the past. And it follows Juan, who is a man who travels to this desolate town in search of his father. And I've not had a chance to see this, but there are some reviews out there, so I'm going to assume that they had an early screening or something like that. And rather than me trying to guess what's going on or how this movie was, this is what they said. The film has stunning visuals and cinematography that brings to life this haunting atmosphere and dreamlike qualities of the story and creates a unique cinematic experience. And the cast, led by Manuel Garcia Ruffalo, delivers strong and nuanced performances throughout. And the only real knock that I could find in the reviews was that some found the non-linear narrative and dreamlike structure of it to be a bit challenging to follow. So to me, that sounds like an interesting world with strong performances that I'm definitely going to check out.
So, here we are, back in the G game. Come on, how long were we really going to stay out of trouble?
He's been waiting.
After a few brand new titles on the list, we do get the continuation of a staple on Netflix. So let's talk about season 4, part 2 of the original series Outer Banks. And after part 1 ended with some aggravating cliffhangers, thankfully part 2 is here, so we get to see the continuation of the thrilling adventures of the Pogues as they navigate a dangerous world filled with treasure, betrayal, and the normal high stakes action. And I'm not going to talk in too much detail for those of you that are not caught up with part 1, but if this is anything like what we got in part 1, there will be more thrilling action sequences, high-speed chases, daring escapes, and fight scenes, and hopefully some answers for those questions surrounding the mysteries in part 1. And I said this in another video, but I am so far committed to this series that I'm definitely checking this out. But if you've not watched any Outer Banks yet, it is a great time to watch with tons to binge.
You led me straight to the lost city. Now, prepare to die.
There were just hundreds of snakes in this temple just waiting for us to show up.
What? Why aren't they biting that guy?
This is ridiculous. Delete, delete, delete.
Then on the 9th, we get a film that I have recommended before, and this is The Lost City. This is an action-adventure film with a few rom-com moments throughout, but it does follow this reclusive romance novelist who gets swept up in a real-life adventure when she is kidnapped by an eccentric billionaire, and then her cover model takes it on himself to go out and rescue her from the jungle. This movie is nothing game-changing, but it's a fun film, and I love the leads in this with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum working together really, really well, and they both have this great comedic timing. And yes, this is classified as a rom-com, but it felt like a buddy action comedy more to me with hints of romance, but there is way more action and adventure in this than you would probably expect. And one of the most unexpected and probably funniest parts of this film is Brad Pitt, who one, I didn't expect to see in the film, but he does make this appearance as this over-the-top survival expert. And he plays this ridiculous character. He's over the top. He's very opposite of the roles that Pitt normally plays, but he steals the show when he's on the screen, being extremely funny. So The Lost City, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's the perfect turn your brain off and escape film that's sure to bring a smile to your face.
Maybe you could teach me in your room.
That is so bad.
Is it?
Does it feel sexy on your face?
A little.
It does. Okay, let's go.
Then on the next day, on the 10th, we get the crime drama Focus. This film follows Nicky, a seasoned con man who takes a young, attractive woman, Jess, under his wing, and as their relationship deepens, they embark on a series of elaborate heists throughout the film, testing the boundaries of trust and loyalty. And at this time, Will Smith and Margot Robbie were working on 2 bigger projects together, obviously this year in Focus, but also Suicide Squad, so you can tell that they have a solid relationship on screen. But honestly, these are both outstanding actors who deliver charismatic and captivating performances in any film. I did enjoy the story. I thought it had a pretty clever plot with twists and turns throughout the film, but the thing that stood out to me was the sleek and stylish aesthetic, coupled with the very witty dialogue that you have to pay attention to really get everything, which draws you into this movie about crooks because it seems very fancy and elegant. And I had a strong feeling that I was going to enjoy this movie just because of the leads in it, but I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would, so I definitely give this one a chance here in November.
That was the last day I remember being a child.
My next pick here is another new title, but this one is not a Netflix original. This is the film Rob Peace. It is another title based on a true story, which I do love. Then it's also directed by and starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, who is excellent in just about everything I've seen him in, so I did want to include it on this list. And this film is based on the life of Rob Peace, a brilliant young man from New York, New Jersey, who risks everything he's worked for to free his imprisoned father. And this trailer paints this as this heartbreaking and, as one can assume, inspiring story centered around themes of this character's family and his ambitions. But you also get a strong cast that includes Ejiofor, of course, but also you get Mary J. Blige, Camila Cabello, Michael Kelly, and Jay Will helping support. And I'm not going to say that this one's going to be great, I don't know yet, but what I am going to say is that it looks like this is going to be a worthwhile watch for those interested in emotional true stories.
So I see you've all met.
What's this all about, Dom?
Yeah, man, why'd you drag us halfway around the world?
Because we got a job.
Now, I'm not so sure about the last title, Rob Peace. Again, I have not seen that one yet, but I am sure of my love for this next group here, and that is the Fast and Furious franchise. And I'm not delusional in thinking that this is Shakespearean level art, but I know that these first 6 films laid the foundation for this franchise's signature blend of high-speed car chases, family drama, and over-the-top action. All of these titles have thrilling car chases, some cool stunts and explosions throughout, but Fast 5 has got to be my personal favorite because it is, in my opinion, when the franchise threw physics out the door, reality out the window, and fully embraced what it really is, which has only made every iteration since bigger, more unrealistic, and crazier than the last. And it's not just the stunts either. The plots get bigger and bigger with every film. They're more global, and the family in this has gone from these street racers to these international spies. Speaking of the family, which is one of the most memeable things on the internet from this film, but this is definitely a draw for me. Seeing these same actors all come together film after film creates a cool sense of camaraderie and includes quality cast members like Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Gal Gadot, Sun Kang, Ludacris, and of course the late Paul Walker. And while some of you may hate these picks, I love these films for the adrenaline pumping action, the awesome cast we talked about, and of course the cars.
Cobra Kai is back.
Then on the 16th, we get another part 2 of a season, and this one is with Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2, which is the beginning of the end of this Netflix original series as it inches closer to the conclusion of the final season. This part of the season looks to continue the epic rivalry between the Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai dojos as they face off in this prestigious international tournament in Barcelona. And just like the Outer Banks, I'm speaking very generally here because I don't want to spoil anything for those of you that are not up to date, but with numerous characters at odds and where the story is at, it looks like this middle part of the series is set to have some of the most thrilling fight scenes and even more action-packed moments than the first part. But like the series has done all the way up to this point, I am sure that part 2 will culminate in an epic cliffhanger that gets us just as hyped for part 3. Then the remainder of this list is a slew of all brand new titles that Netflix is bringing this month, and the first one that we're getting is Adoration on the 20th. This is an Italian coming-of-age drama series based on a novel of the same name, where a young girl goes missing and each one of her friends knows something and has a connection to her mysterious disappearance. The series is another addition to Netflix's growing library of international content, and like many of the others, I'm sure it will have an excellent dubbing for those native English speakers like myself, but there's been a ton of awesome additions coming from overseas. And just from checking out the trailer, this series looks like it's going to have this mysterious and moody atmosphere, which you can see from the young cast delivering these compelling performances, and it delves into the intense emotions and experiences of adolescence, albeit during this extreme situation. And with all the information that I have right now, the show does kind of feel like Euphoria Light from Max, and probably not as intense, but if you enjoy that type of coming of age series, this looks like the solid option in November.
Got a message for you, sir.
Pregnancy test positive.
I just want to say congratulations.
Oh, she's not pregnant. We've made someone else pregnant, and it's bloody brilliant.
The next Netflix original is another film based on a true story, and this is Joy, which is the historical drama telling the story of the groundbreaking scientific achievement into in vitro fertilization, focusing on the 10-year journey to develop it and the 3 British scientists and medics who made it possible. This is certainly an interesting story, shedding some light on a significant moment in medical history, which I'm sure is going to be a huge part of this film, but it does look like from the trailer that it's going to focus a lot in on the personal struggles of the characters, adding the drama and the turmoil needed to make this into a Hollywood film. And this is another one where they brought in a very solid cast. You've got James Norton, Charlie Murphy, Thomasin McKenzie, and the iconic Bill Nye. So I expect quality performances as the cast transforms into these real life people. So yet again, another solid looking true story on the 22nd with Joy.
Daughter. Yes, you can talk. There must be so much you want to say to me.
I like the sound of my own voice.
You're my dad, all right.
If you've had enough with true stories and that's just not your thing, or you're just looking for something more family friendly, we also get the Netflix original animated film Spellbound on the 22nd. This film follows the story of Elian, who is a tenacious princess who must go on a daring quest to save her family and kingdom after a mysterious spell transforms her parents into monsters. This is the first of a multi-deal movie between Netflix and Skydance Animation, and besides having an amazing choice of songs in their trailer, they really want you to know that this film is being brought to us by John Lasseter, who was the former head of Pixar when they created Toy Story, Cars, Cars 2, Shrek, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and now he leads Skydance. And it looks like he brought over a lot of things that we love in quality animated films. It has the vibrant animation style, whimsical characters, along with a heartwarming story with a humorous tone that can be enjoyed by people of all ages. And one of the most important parts, he brought over great voice actors to voice these characters, including Rachel Zelger, John Ratzenberger, Nathan Lane, Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, and John Lithgow. So if you're looking to have a quality family movie night, plan for the 22nd because Spellbound looks to be a charming and visually stunning animated film for the whole entire family. The 22nd is a very busy day because we do get another pick with The Piano Lesson, and this is an adaptation of August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize-winning play of the same name, set in 1936 Pittsburgh. The story follows the Charles family as they grapple with their family's legacy and more while they're deciding what to do with a family piano. Many of these titles have great cast, but this one has to be one of the most star-studded Netflix originals that I've seen in a while. You have Samuel L. Jackson, John David Washington, Ray Fisher, Daniela Deadwyler, Corey Hawkins, Michael Potts, and Stephen James all in this film. So it is stacked with talent, so certainly gives you high hopes for some strong performances and probably some awesome on-screen chemistry. And I have no exposure to the play, but the trailer itself makes it look like it's certainly going to be a family drama, but there's also something else there. I couldn't tell exactly if it's a supernatural element or if it's some type of psychological element at play, but it does look like it's going to be a compelling mystery in there. So regardless, it looks like another layer to this thought-provoking and emotional film that's definitely worth checking out.
I'm telling you, it was a setup. Now I'm being watched. I got a bullseye on my back. Do you see what they're doing to me?
Our next Netflix original is The Madness, and this series stars Coleman Domingo as Muncie Daniels, a media pundit who finds himself embroiled in a dangerous conspiracy after stumbling upon a murder deep in the Poconos. This is an 8-episode limited series that is led by Domingo and looks to have an intriguing premise as he is this paranoid man fearful of taking the fall for a crime. It looks to be a great option for fans of psychological thrillers, exploring themes of power and corruption, and I even read that there are some blurred lines between reality and illusions in this. So with a talented cast supporting him and an intriguing story, The Madness looks like a binge-worthy addition on the 28th.
Even before I got into a car, I already knew I was born to race.
And last but certainly not least is probably the one that I'm the most excited about on this list, and that is the Netflix series Senna. This is a 6-episode limited series chronicling the life of Ayrton Senna, who is a Brazilian Formula One racing legend. The series looks to follow him from his early karting days to his tragic death, and the series will explore Senna's relentless pursuit of perfection. First, Ayrton Senna is an icon in the Formula One world, so if you're a fan of this sport, this looks to be an amazing look into the sport during this time, while also diving deep into the life of this complex and fascinating champion. And watching the trailer reminded me a lot of the film Rush, where they dive deep into the world of Formula One, taking a look at the racing, the lavish lifestyle, and just the overall charisma of these drivers. And as most sports titles go, it looks like this is going to take you on that powerful and emotional journey that will celebrate the legacy of this icon. So I'm super excited for this one on the 29th. Senna is a must watch for fans of Formula One racing. And that's going to do it for our list today, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us all the way to the end. You can check out some of our other videos right here. And I know every YouTuber says this, but take a second, like, subscribe, share this video. It helps us get our content out to others looking for great TV and movies that they can check out from their home.